Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. You are live in virtual book club. We don't have any smiles. We're all very serious today. Book club has been running for 5 years, or we're in our 5th year. I can't remember if we're in our 5th year or if it's been 5 years.
I would say you started in October 2020, right?
Right.
So this would complete 5 years and starting the 6th.
Okay. Yeah, that's how we had to put it in my head. Mental math. It's AI, everyone. I can't think anymore. We have participants from Spain, Florida, New York, and myself in Canada today. I'll let you introduce yourselves. I'm Benita Lee.
This is Ferenc Csizimas from Malaga.
Hal Garin from Florida.
Stephen Eng from New York.
Okay, and we're all in like different disciplines as well. So every time we get together, we learn about each other's perspectives, and I mean, I take away something new every time. And it's fun to learn about other people as well, and their quirks and what they're up to. Like, Hal, I saw that you are doing your second master's.
Yes. I actually would be my third, but
Oh, wow.
I fell one class and a thesis short on a master's in information sciences many years ago, and things got in the way and never got back to that, but lost interest in it.
Interesting.
So
Oh, I didn't know that.
Working on a master's of legal studies at Texas A&M University.
Yes, you mentioned that last time.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're going to be?
I'm sorry?
Does that mean college football is a lot more interesting now?
No, because I'm a remote student, so I have no affinity to Texas A&M. Specifically, it's a fine school, but I picked the program because I didn't want to get a Juris Doctor. I did not want to sit for the law school admissions test. I'm not trying to practice law. I'm just really looking to learn.
Yeah, no, it's a great area to be knowledgeable about.
Especially we're not talking about the book, but especially in today's day and age, because the first class I took over this past summer was Introduction to the U.S. Legal System. And so it was a lot about the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Federalist Papers and all that, and to have conversations, about the Constitution, as much as the Constitution is, under quite a bit of challenge in the States these days. It was interesting.
Yeah, so are you guys lining up at the courthouse?
I can't. I don't know about Stephen, but I supported fully, but did not participate in the No Kings rallies this past.
Oh no, I mean the November 5th, like at the Supreme Court when they decide if the IEPA was, reasonable action or legal.
I don't know. The Supreme Court in the U.S. seems to have become politicized, just like everything else.
Yeah, we live in a really weird world.
Yeah, and Hal, to answer your question, I also remotely agree, like supported like the No Kings protests, but did not directly participate in them.
Right. I mean, I'm a firm believer in the right to peacefully protest anything you want. That's
Yeah,
part of what democracy is all about.
Yeah,
Whether I agree with it or not, you have a right.
yeah. Like my friend Jitan says, democracy is a team sport. Everyone has to participate for it to work. Yeah.
yeah.
We are reading Turn the Ship Around. It's written by like a retired naval commander. And I think it was really, it was kind of a slog, but it had really important lessons in it. Does anyone want to give like the summary or their summary?
Somebody else.
Yeah, so I'm not going to do the whole summary of each chapter now yet, but what was great in the book that you have got to learn about an environment in which you are generally not there, right? Navy, submarines, most of us aren't serving on submarines, so for anyone reading it outside that world, is exciting how to apply the same concepts and also knowing all the cultural changes and procedural changes that he implemented, how they took effect, what were the complications, and how that relates to our life and our job. And while learning about the leadership techniques and empowerment and all those nice things that we will discuss in a moment, we also learned how a submarine operates. I had zero idea on how submarines operate. So that was super exciting how the teams are made up, how a submarine is staffed, what are the typical issues that they face. So yes, that's was in a nutshell. I found it really informative and super easy to digest. Yes, was it a 5 out of 5 for me? No, because for me a 5 out of 5 is something that changes the whole way I'm thinking or I have been thinking earlier. But it's a strong 4 for me.
Yeah, I think what we talked to this a little bit about on the last call too. I think what's really interesting about it. I guess for people who are been exposed to various management cultures and have been through empowerment cycles and things like that. I think if you strip it away, there's probably not a whole lot new. But what makes it interesting is the U.S. Navy, just like military anywhere, is very command and control. And the fact that he was made captain of a ship that historically not performed well, and took great risk to change the leadership culture in a way that was counter to the way the Navy works. And so it was, it's a, it's I don't know the difference between a run-of-the-mill submarine versus a nuclear submarine, but I'm thinking a nuclear submarine, you're taking a lot of chances. Because you're basically, swimming around in a nuclear reactor. And so, when he brought out a lot of nervousness at times of inspections by commanding officers, it was understandable because the way he was practicing, leadership and empowerment was again, counter to a historically run military operation.
Yeah, there's this one question about the difference between empowerment and emancipation in a leadership context. And it says, empowerment is about a leader granting power to followers, while emancipation recognizes the existing potential and creativity in individuals, allowing them to take control and make decisions without the need for top-down approval. Do you think he made that clear?
I mean, he didn't use the word empowerment. We're using it, I think, as shortcut, because it's what we're accustomed to. Yes, there's a difference. I don't know that the term emancipation, really comes to mind. I don't know what term I would use because he was still in control. I mean, we talked about this on the last time that the way he would have, as opposed to barking orders, he would have people come to him, tell him what they intended to do. He might say, he might ask some questions to make sure they've thought it through and then say very well. Well, it's still approval. It's not like it's complete empowerment, and I'm not sure it's emancipation because people aren't making major decisions about how the submarine works and runs on a day-to-day basis without at least some tacit approval. What he was doing was I use the word empowering people to, think for themselves, to make decisions as if that was what they were going to do if they weren't going to be approved. If they didn't have someone to approve it for them.
Right.
Yeah, he was like flipping the entire like historical model of leadership like on its head by making like his subordinates, if you will, practice thinking out loud. Um, and he would have them like tell them what they intended like to do, and he would support them like along the way, but he wouldn't like explicitly like bark out orders like it has to be this way or that way. And also like he showed a lot of vulnerability like by telling us that he had to restrain himself like from telling people what to do, and instead he would ask his subordinates questions to like not necessarily extract information from them, but to instead rely on them to help him understand like how the submarines worked. So like in that sense he relied on them to be his sources of knowledge on the workings of the submarine.
Yeah. Really well put. He was.
I mean, it's a classic difference between responsibility and accountability. He made people responsible for their roles on the ship. They had to take full responsibility for what they were charged to do. But he knew that at the end of the day, he was accountable for whatever happened.
Mhm.
Right.
And that's powerful. Like, think about how when someone is fully accountable, and then they can restrain themselves not to either bark orders or micromanage. Like, I think that one of the easiest pitfalls of any like new managers I've ever seen is that they tend to micromanage because they are accountable, but they don't have like great, they're not used to being managers. So they micromanage so that everything turns out their way, and they don't have like the trust in their people to, you know?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, maybe there's a third or fourth way, and help me, if you think of any, but I think there's basically two reasons why people micromanage. One is they're being micromanaged themselves, so they have to be into the details if you feel like they need to be making the decisions, or they're just insecure. So they feel like they have to exert authority by being the decision maker.
Right. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. What else do we have? Okay, like, how do you think leaders can empower their teams effectively?
One of the things, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to read the by title, but go ahead and dig into it, Ferenc.
So one of the things how people should start is, if they have a team, if they have a subordinate, anyone reporting to them, is not laying out every single step. This is you do first, then this is you do second, then this is you do third, and then the third is done, come back to me. Instead, whenever we can, we should provide a problem. This is what we need to fix, and this is why we need to fix it. Work on it. Come back with two solutions, two options, and then I will only have to choose between the two. And that's good for me because I don't have to think about all those low-level details. And good for whomever I'm giving the task to, because they have the opportunity to grow, to learn, to think, and to figure out what they are doing and why, and what potential routes they can go into. And also it will bring another set of minds and another approach, as if I would be doing every single thing. And as we are different people, we see the same challenges from a different angle. So telling them people to find potential options as opposed to do this and this and this specific task works out better for everyone.
Agreed.
Obviously, there is not every scenario where you can allow yourself to do that, and there is not every people are having different capabilities. People can be more junior or more senior, so this doesn't work in every scenario all the time, but in the majority of the cases, when you don't have to put off fires and when you are having a capable team, it works just fine.
You hit on a key point there. You have to have a capable team, and the scenario of this particular circumstance, again, he inherited a ship that was underperforming. It was, in most all categories, it was low rated. And so, he could have easily, he wouldn't have read the book about it then, but he could have easily just adopted the command and control because he felt obligated that it was going to be because of my leadership that we were going to turn this situation around. I keep coming back to he took great risk, because if the ship did not improve its performance dramatically, you know, then the accountability would have been with him. And instead of writing a book about it, he'd be looking for other things to do in life.
Yeah, and I think also, like, to enhance that, like, there were a lot of turning points that set him up for all this success, and and one of them that really jumps out to me is the fact that at the very beginning he mentioned that he chose to keep the existing crew members and therefore the existing talent instead of like letting everybody go and just and starting fresh, and that like is inherently a risk, but it was a bold choice, but he made it work. So I was wondering if what you guys thought about that.
Well, I think he had to create, you know, he created an environment where, you know, he was boosting the confidence because people were relatively gun shy initially
Yeah.
to do anything because that's not the leadership, you know. And so, you know, you've been in the business world long enough. You've had, you know, leaders who talk a good game about, I'll use the term empowerment, you know, but as soon as something goes wrong, forget about empowerment. They want to take you behind the woodshed and beat the snot out of you because, and so he had to create the environment where people were, and initially that wasn't going to be the case. Encouraged to take risks to increase their level of self confidence. Because I mean, of the hundreds of people that are needed to run a submarine, everybody's got very well defined responsibilities. And you as I might not get the terminology right, you as a low level ensign, and the only interaction you're going to have with the captain is salute and say yes sir as you walk past. So he had to, the layers of leadership had to develop a level of confidence that I don't think he really talked about much. I'm just making an assumption for it to be successful, because if he was interacting with, his primary direct reports most of the time, if they didn't see the value in that leadership style and treat their people similarly, it would have fallen apart.
Yeah, I mean, you said something that I matched up to this question, which was, like, how can like leaders or organizations use like this guy's experience and legacy to inspire current and future employees? Like, how does it live on? Like, after he retires, like, how does it how does it get passed on?
Well,
You think?
hopefully some of his key direct reports became, captains themselves on other vessels, and they could carry forward if they believed in it. That same leadership style. Again, it's still countercultural.
Yeah.
I would think that I don't know this. I'm just making an assumption. I would think some people in the Navy would pick up this book, read it, and say that's a bunch of horse crap because that's not the way it works for me.
Yeah, no, it's sad. And
Um,
good leadership is hard to find.
yeah, I was curious because I found the book valuable. I was generous with a 3.5 rating.
Oh,
um,
wow.
but so I was curious, and I wanted to look, and I looked on Goodreads, and I looked at, because it's got over 9,000 ratings, if I remember the number correctly. But there were a couple of hundred people who gave it a 1. And some of the ones were, it was a mandatory reading at work. It was boring. It was, well, they were reading something that, probably the tenor of those comments, although people didn't say it, is it felt like a leadership program du jour at the company that, we'll read it because our bosses say we need to read it. We'll talk about it and all this. But nothing will ever change. So it's a high level of cynicism in some of the comments.
Yeah.
So their lived experience, that's what I'm trying to go to.
Was totally different.
If your lived experience is different and you're not in a position to say on board these concepts and do something about it yourself, it's like, then there would be no value in the book.
I know, like, read this book, change.
We're gonna change around here, damn it.
Turn the ship around, read this book.
If you don't think so, you'll be looking for work elsewhere.
Yeah. I remember that kind of stuff.
But even if you are not in charge of doing all these grand changes, because you are not on that part of the corporate ladder at the moment when you are reading the book, you can, as an individual, take some stuff out of it. You can be more proactive. You can, instead of just waiting in front of your keyboard and just to see what is that someone else tells you to do, you can be proactive. You can tell them, this is what I intend to do. This is what I'm planning. I think these are the 2 angles from where we can see the problem. And of course, there will be environments where this is working out nicely, and your boss sees that, okay, this guy is into something. And there will be other environments where they will tell you to shut up and get back to your keyboard. But in general, I think whether you are a leader or not, at the moment, there is some takeaway for everyone.
Absolutely. I'm totally with you with that, because like Adam Grant says, like, be like a scientist when you come upon knowledge, and do experiments and test theories. So there's nowhere better than your social life or your public life or your work life, when you're amongst other people, to do these experiments.
I think too, it's using the tenor of those low rating comments. It is a book that you have to want to read.
Yeah.
It can't be a book that you're forced to read.
No.
Right.
Nothing.
If it's a book this is a book you're forced to read in a corporate environment. And we've already talked about, we've seen the stats of people who read generally, for pleasure and for learning, being so low, that it's, somebody being forced to read it in a corporate environment because it's some manager or some company's, leadership program of the month. You're going to resent it because it's crowding into, what you'd rather do at that time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we wonder why no one likes to read. It's because people are forced to read stuff they don't want to read.
Yeah, and that can significantly change your perception of what you are reading.
Oh, totally.
That is true.
I can't think of one book I was forced to read that I liked.
Can't think of any activity that you are being forced into and you liked it.
But think about it in a corporate environment where
No, there's been many books.
You're asked to read the book. That's sort of like saying, we're going to make leadership change from the bottom up, right? Read this and we'll be a different company. I mean, it's like, no, the logic should be that the leadership team should all read it, discuss it, and
Yes.
then to make anybody else read it.
Yeah,
Right.
and does the leadership
Yes.
embody the changes stated in the book
Just
first?
do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Those dumbasses.
Unfortunately, those dumbasses run companies.
That's right. They should come to virtual book club. All right. What about, okay. Did you catch the part? I didn't, but I'm catching it in this question now. What role does immediate recognition play in reinforcing desired behaviors?
It has to be specific and well timed.
Right. So that it doesn't sound like,
Like target the behavior, like as opposed to like abstract general attributes of the person. Like focus on what they actually contributed.
That's an excellent point.
I
Excellent
like
point.
it.
Yeah. I mean, it's, good job. Well, what was good about the job? What was, give me something specific.
Yeah, I was at my full-time job. I just finished like completing peer evaluations for some people in my department. So this is pretty hot in my mind right now.
Were you honest?
Yeah, I was because I wrote some comments explaining the impact that these specific individuals had on me.
Good for you.
Yep, this was actually an assignment. Like each person on my team was asked to do it. We had to pick like 3 to 5 like other people to peer evaluate each other. So I did my part. Now I'm done.
Good. Do they get to know who gave the feedback, or do you get?
No, the feedback is only channeled to our manager. It's not visible to the recipient.
Okay.
Yeah, it's confidential.
Yeah, I could see that being helpful. Um, Culture plays such a huge role in like how if a company is successful, if they have like a good morale and everybody is an engagement rate and like an a top place for people to work, like to enable companies to recruit others. Um, the question is, what kind of organizational culture promotes resilience and continuous improvement?
I think it's two different things because you can be resilient in a way, but not think about continuous improvement, or you can be continuously improving, coming up with all the advices, the things you learned, and try to implement them, but miserably fail when something goes wrong, right? So I would treat them separately. So to answer the first half, what makes an organization a great place to be and to what enables continuous improvement is mainly the desire from someone who is in charge to make it happen and organize it and instill a mindset to all the people around that this is a good thing. We are not doing it just for the sake of it because we every Thursday, whatever happens, we meet and we are going to continuously improve. No, make it meaningful, make it useful, show people that what they add as an input is somewhere appears as a useful output, and just make all these things that are brought to the table happen one way or another and discuss them and create an environment where people want to bring ideas and feedback, but also when no one is afraid of sharing their thoughts, sharing what went wrong, and when all these things are action, because that's the main point of it. You can have all the nice ideas on how to improve, but if nothing happens, you just pile them up in the corner, then they will remain just that, ideas. So that's for the continuous improvement part. For the resilience, that's a whole different story, at least to me. How do you see it?
Well, I mean, the words that come to mind as you were saying all that, was you started there, Benita, as part of the question. It's about engagement. If you're engaged as an employee, you're engaged in what the company does, you're engaged in what your team does, you're engaged in the mission, you believe in the company's values, you're engaged, you do things above and beyond. It's not just about collecting a paycheck. It's just, you and the difference is, employee engagement. The difference is employee satisfaction. I mean, I remember being in organizations where they do the annual employee survey, and it was a satisfaction survey. I could like all of my fellow coworkers. I could think I'm getting paid appropriately or well. I could love the benefits program. I like hanging out with people. I'm satisfied, but I'm completely disengaged in what the hell we're doing.
Right.
And so you can have some really satisfied people, but they aren't doing what they need to move the company forward in an engaged way. And
Yeah.
it's a huge difference. And so it is about engagement.
It is also about hiring and keeping the right people, because there are people who, whatever you do, 80 people will be perfectly engaged, and you feel that your strategy is working and everyone is on board. And there's going to be two guys walking around completely disengaged for whatever reason. So, first, find those who really want to be there. And once they are there, keep them.
The Gallup organization has done over the years extensive work in employee engagement, and they've got a survey that measures engagement and all this kind of stuff. And what they say is that you want the highly engaged component of your company to be at least, and they've got the empirical studies that prove this out. If you want to be a math nerd about it. But basically, they say that you want at least 16% of your employees who are highly engaged, because that's sort of a tipping point in creating this flywheel effect of it affecting others, because they're the company evangelists. They're in the company really believing what they do, what they contribute, what the company's mission is. And so the higher you can get that engagement component, and the best way to take a highly engaged employee and make them disengaged is micromanage them.
Yeah.
Right? You start to feel like, well, whatever I do is not good enough around here.
Right.
And you start to disengage. You'll
Yeah.
do what you need to collect your paycheck.
Yep.
Right? But it's sort of like The Walking Dead, at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, who hasn't been in that spot where you're just like, okay, I just need to do the bare minimum and like a duck when the axe swings. Oh, geez.
Now, let's bring the parallel back to this book. Where the typical military environment is command and control. you're still dealing with life and death situations if people don't all do the job they're supposed to do. You can't have people mentally check out on a nuclear submarine. That's, so whether you're engaged or not, you can be engaged because you really believe in what you're doing. You believe in your contribution to the mission. You can also be engaged because you fear the consequences of getting something wrong.
Right.
Very different, right? And so to me, if you're a useless, on a nuclear sub, you're going to be found out and you're not going to last on there long. Yeah, you can probably, duck and hide and lay low and do the bare minimum, and never get promoted, I suppose. But so, I mean, it's interesting because the leadership lessons you can take away from this are portable anywhere. But the environment that he specifically did it in is highly unique.
Yeah, totally. To imagine that it was in a nuclear-powered submarine and he was a naval officer.
He can't take too much editorial license because I would believe that anybody who was his superior officer or anybody that he was their commanding officer, if they read the book and said that's all fiction, I mean, you couldn't get. There's not a whole lot of editorial license he could get away with.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, exactly. You know what? We never talked about, and that is really, really apparent throughout the book is, like your clarity of communication has to be excellent as well, right? Because how are you going to get that through to like multiple people? You have to be a master of it. And as I look at these other recommended books, I guess it's like one of these, if you read this book, you might like these. These other ones are, and we've read like a few of them, The Infinite Game, Multipliers, Team of Teams, The Manager's Path, Never Split the Difference, Call Sign Chaos, Super Communicators, Essential Scrum, Organizational Behavior, Schools That Learn, and this one's interesting, the Kubernetes Operators. What the heck is a Scrum Master?
That has to do with Agile.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Someone who's in theory, and every organization can interpret it differently as everything else as well. But in theory, the Scrum Master is the one who is responsible for the team's performance and enables the team to provide their best work.
Yeah, okay. I wonder where they got the word
Typically, software development environment.
Doesn't the word scrum come from rugby?
Yeah, isn't it a sports terminology?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Well, I mean, the scrum is in Agile, and Ferenc, you know this better than I ever will. But I mean, it's basically a team huddle type of concept. And so that's where the parallel comes from rugby and the terminology. And so then, with the Scrum Master is the person who sort of leads and facilitates those efforts to keep the team moving forward. I'm not sure what that book would have to do with this one, but I suppose.
Yeah,
no, like I was like, it was just popped into my head. I don't know why.
No, I think the similarity and the parallel is empowering teams. Scrum, in theory, requires that everyone is engaged and empowered, and everyone is let be to do their job. Also, the team shouldn't be micromanaged, and yes, these are the concepts that also appear in this book. But other than that, yeah, it's a different story.
Might have been an AI hallucination.
Yeah. Our next book. The
Experience Machine.
The
Sorry, it's
Experience.
on glossy because it's got the library glossy cover over it.
I wanted to buy the physical copy of that one, but I saw how ugly the cover is, and it's probably going to be an audiobook for me.
I think it will be hard as an audiobook. I'm about halfway through.
Oh, really?
I'm halfway through. I really I don't want to say much. I like the concept. I believe the concept is 100% right. You know, that the brain is basically this predictive machine. You know, and I won't go too much further. Let people read. You know, we can talk about it next time. But it's been a slog reading, and I believe the author is a Brit. And I believe,
Oh, right.
correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he narrates the audiobook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if there's a sample before you do the audio,
I did do the
listen to the
demo.
sample.
I did, and his accent was a little bit hard for me, but I told myself that maybe this is how I learn how to recognize that, like to understand that accent better. So I think I might do audio.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know because, you know, I mean, I'm.
Oh, here, I'll let you listen right now.
I'm finding that I'm, 10 pages is about my limit at any given point in time. It's just sort of like I find that I'm not able to concentrate.
Okay, are you ready?
Sure.
Yep.
This is Audible.
Penguin Random House Audio presents The Experience Machine: How Our Minds Predict and Shape Reality. Written and read for you by Andy Clark.
For Alexa and Jill, precisely. What you see and what you hear depends a great deal on where you're standing. It also depends on what sort of person you are. That's from C.S. Lewis, The Magician's Nephew. There's a contents list for this book. To see the list of contents, please see the accompanying PDF. Preface: Shaping Experience. A few years ago, I was invited to speak at a popular science festival held in London. I'm a professor of cognitive philosophy, an odd title that reflects a rather eclectic set of interests, spanning philosophy, neuroscience, psychology, and artificial intelligence. I was about to give a talk on one of my favorite topics, the human brain as a prediction machine. The festival, run by a popular science magazine, was called New Scientist Live.
Yeah.
Every year, New Scientist, the magazine.
I think we have heard better and worse, but
yeah.
I mean, it's always a gamble when the author, who of course they know their material better than anybody, got
right.
it. But it's always a gamble when the author's narrating their own work, because if they don't have a voice that, translates well, it can take somewhat dry material and make it, hard to listen to.
Yes.
And I'm very curious when we talk about it this next month. Again, I'm only about halfway through. I'm finding the content by reading it dry.
I'm terrible, but I lost the dates that we had said, and
You're not terrible. We can just tell you whatever dates we want, and that'll be.
yeah. I'm traveling some of the months, so
We obviously always open to change, but we had said November 5th, and I didn't put another one on my calendar past the 5th because I think we were keeping that open because of Thanksgiving Day holiday in the States and stuff.
So the Thanksgiving is the 27th?
Correct.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm not traveling. I'm staying home. I'm available on the 26th if you wanted to do it then.
Same with me.
For real? I mean, it might be nice to celebrate Thanksgiving with you. I can miss U.S. Thanksgiving.
Celebrating with us turkeys.
Yeah, no, I eat turkey, or I don't eat turkey. I make a meal. I make a special meal for both days. But yeah, I'm gonna be out of town on November 5th, and so does the 12th and the 26th or the 25th work? We could do the 25th.
And the 25th. The 25th won't work for me. That's a Tuesday.
Right.
I can make any of that work.
Yeah, for me, any of those could work. We can also do 12th and 19th because in December we will probably have an early session.
No, the 19th was the one I couldn't do because
okay.
I have an all-day.
I will leave it to you and adapt.
Unless we pick different days. I wish I could just show you my calendar, but I mean, I don't think you're going to be able to see it.
Well, what works for us, or doesn't work for us will work maybe for, others who couldn't be on the call today.
Yeah. Okay. So 12.
I would just pick dates that you think are going to be best, and we will make it work to the best of our abilities.
Okay. Let's do 12th and 26th then.
Okay. Sounds good. I just requested my copy of the book. So I am very curious to see like how dry it is once I get my hands on it. But as a first impression on the audio, I don't like. I was able to understand this sample like perfectly fine, but I'm not going to make any assumption about like how well I'll understand him like as I get deeper into the book.
Yeah, I mean the old good news, whether you like it or you don't, it's only 232 pages plus or minus of actual reading content. So even at 10 pages a day, you can finish it in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be dry for me because I'm like so fascinated by like neurologists and like the neuroplasticity of our brains and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not giving anything away because he said it right in that sample. The brain is as a predictive machine shaping and influencing our realities.
Mm-hmm. But I'm so highly impressionable. I'll start to like second guess. Oh my gosh, is this real? Oh geez. No, it sounds like a good fall read. and I'll have my
Well,
tea while I'm listening.
yeah, we need to get Aura on these calls because she was the one who nominated it. Obviously,
Oh, really? Okay,
enough of us voted for it, that it became the selection. But
okay, I'm gonna get on that. Yeah, Aura, you must come to book club.
Ah,
and our December book is one I have read, so I am very biased in
Oh, you've read it?
the December book. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
The
okay.
World Played Chess. Um,
Well,
short premise. It's a historical fiction, basically, about a 18-year-old man in 1979 who needs to work to make money to go to college, and he ends up on a construction site working with a Vietnam veteran. And
oh.
they basically end up influencing each other's lives, by the young man because of the lessons that get imparted, and the Vietnam vet because he's suffering from PSTD and needed to share his experiences with someone. It is to me, it is just a really powerful book. And so, I'm biased. I hope you guys like it.
Yeah, no, it sounds
I
like
listened to the audiobook, and um, it's the person who narrates the view from the 18-year-old boy is the author, and the person who narrates the view from the Vietnam vet is another. So you get the verbal changes, like
Ah,
nice.
like the dialogue.
so you did that one in audio.
Yes, I did an
Okay.
Audible, and it was, again, I thought it's going to be one of my, if not my top rated book for the whole year. It's certainly going to be near the top.
Oh, wow, I'm really looking forward to it.
You read
It's
it recently?
I listened to it, I want to say last month.
Oh, wow.
Let me find it. World Played
Mhm.
Chess. I finished it on September 18th. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds heartwarming, something we need at in the
So it
dead
has
of
nothing to do with chess. It is from the phrase that, while I was playing checkers, the world was playing chess, meaning, I was approaching things in a very simplistic way, and the rest of the world was dealing in life's complexities.
Ah,
Interesting.
yes, and I voted for this one.
I tried to vote against it, but only because everybody else voted for it.
I couldn't vote for it, so there you go.
Right. Who did you vote for then? What did you vote for?
I don't remember, but I probably could figure that out. I voted for the Phoenix Crown. Well, it's
Oh, right,
Kate
right.
Quinn book.
Right, because Hal and Michelle are running a racket behind the scenes, and they're trying to sway our votes for another Kate Quinn book.
I'm not trying to do that. I mean, the other choices were You Like It Darker, by Stephen King, which I
Yeah, no.
had listened to about a year and a half ago, loved it. And then, I did, so the other one was Trust by Hernan Diaz. And
And I voted, or I've I've put that in the running as well. I recommended it. I haven't read it.
yeah, it's long. It's over 500
Oh.
pages, typical Stephen King book, but it's about a half a dozen short stories. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not horror. It's kind of, it's not Stephen King horror kind of stuff. It's
Right.
more just, oddball short stories that some of them get you to really think.
Think.
I would
Yeah.
highly recommend it.
I was wondering about that, if how that could work in virtual book club. And then there's also something that I don't know if you remember Carissa. She used to say that, maybe we should do not just books, but like podcast episodes and like stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, maybe, for like, if we like shortened the book club and it wasn't an hour and it was just like half an hour or something, but it'd have to be something that like we could all really dig into, and that's hard. I don't know. Well, we'll see what we come up for 2026.
Yep, I'll be starting the nomination cycle for a January book, the beginning of November, so it's coming up.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
see you guys on November 12th next, and then Thanksgiving, which will.
If you can get those dates out to the group, since some people who would want to at least block their calendars.
Okay, I'll do that right now.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks.
Have a great
Perfect.
night
Thank you.
or evening.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a good
you.
day.
Bye now.